What's up, everybody? My name is Michael Grass. This is the Grassroots 304 podcast, episode 30. And tonight, my guest is Corduroy Brown. He's going to be playing tonight here at the shop in Dunbar, West Virginia. And this is his first time playing here. Is that right?
First time at the shop. First time in Dunbar, I believe, as well.
Yeah, well, welcome to Dunbar and welcome to the shop.
The big city of Dunbar, baby.
Yeah, man. Welcome to the Grassroots podcast, by the way.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
When you asked me, I was pumped about it.
Yeah, well, it's I know that you've been real excited for the last couple months because I'm actually a part of the shop Facebook page, and I saw the messages coming through, and I was like, man, this guy is pretty hyped up about it, so I thought that it wouldn't be too big of a deal to reach out and ask you to come on here.
Yeah, not at all, man. I mean, you got to promote, you know what I mean? And the shop is really awesome with, like, they're really promoting all the artists that come through, so it's like a mutual thing, and it's definitely appreciated, too, to get people to come out, for sure.
Right. You know, we try to do that, and like I said just a minute ago, I was going to promote what's coming up here in the next couple of weeks, so while I'm thinking about that,
yeah, I
would have started that out to begin with, but, you know, it's sometimes just like wing it a little bit. Coming up, speaking of that, let's see, next week, actually tomorrow night, we've got Chad Nickel and the Loose Change. You ever heard of them?
I hadn't, but I'd seen a lot of people posting about them, actually. So, yeah.
Okay, I hadn't heard of them either, but there's plenty of people I hadn't heard of before that sound really great. So, and then next week on May 24th, we've got a Sava with Hurl Brickbat and Friendly Fire.
Okay, Friendly Fire's my boys.
Yeah, I actually had them on here. They were in like one of the first 10 episodes, something like that. And of course, Hurl Brickbat too. Both of them great bands. On May 26th, we've got the Tom Batchelor Band, and then on May 28th, we've got Urban Soil. So definitely come down and check that out. You can find tickets online at livetheshopwv.com for more information. So yeah, let's hop into it. Tell me about yourself. Where are you from?
From Huntington, West Virginia. Grew up in a little town right across the river called Chesapeake, Ohio. We used to have one stoplight, and I think that's gone now. So
yeah.
If that tells you anything. But grew up right, if you're from Chesapeake, Ohio, you're from Huntington, West Virginia. Mm-hmm. And, been here my entire life, actually. I love to travel, obviously, but this is home regardless. So I don't care what people say about West Virginia or Ohio. A lot of people hate Ohio for some reason. I don't get that part, but we don't have to get into all that.
Mm-hmm. I can't say anything bad about Ohioans except they drive in the fast lane continuously, and like that's a no-no here in West Virginia. So those Buckeye drivers, we like to really hate on them sometimes.
See, I can actually dislike every person that drives around here because when we played in Chicago last year, driving in Chicago changed my life.
Did it really?
And it feels like people are just every person, regardless of which Appalachian state. If you drive in Chicago or New York, especially, dear Lord, like when you come back home and drive, you just immediately feel like everyone is going 4 miles per hour.
Yeah,
and
slow.
So I feel like everyone is guilty of that here. If you go and live in Chicago or drive in Chicago for a minute, it's like, oh my Lord.
Yeah, how fast they drive on the interstates in Chicago?
Too fast.
Yeah, like 90?
I've been past, and I'm doing 80, 85. I've been past.
Okay. See, that's how people drive in Florida, dude. Yeah, you get down there and people they're hauling ass. And where's the cops when you need them, right?
Dude, it's wild up there. It's wild.
Yeah, well, I've never been to Chicago, but maybe one of these days.
It's worth a trip for sure. Yeah, definitely worth a trip.
Yeah, I was kind of in Chesapeake yesterday. I drove down to Ashland. Actually, I got family out in Boyd County. And I went to this little place. At first, I went to go see my grandparents' grave and put some flowers there. Mm-hmm. And then I stopped at Crisp Dairy Cheer. You know what that is?
I don't, but our bass player's from Boyd County. You probably know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Crisp. It's like just a local staple of Boyd County sort of thing. Get some hot dogs and onion rings and
nice.
Typical American place. Yeah. Like better than Dairy Queen.
Sure.
Yeah. So being over there though, I rarely go to Ohio, but when you talked about Chesapeake, it's just right there on the other side. It's the equivalent of like South Charleston and
exactly,
Dunbar, I guess, something like that. It's very close.
Little sub areas.
So you spent a lot of time in Huntington?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's like I said. I mean, I grew up in Chesapeake, Ohio, but you're right across the bridge. You could throw a rock, and well, I couldn't throw a rock, but somebody who's very good at throwing rocks could throw a rock and hit Huntington from the Ohio side. But it's all kind of. You're from there. You're from Ohio. You're from West Virginia or whatever. But
right.
It's awesome because like especially now playing music as much as we do, like. People talk about the Huntington music scene like way far away from here. Like I was doing a run in like Virginia, like on Virginia Beach actually, with a guy, Jeremy Short. I don't know if you ever heard Short and Company.
Yeah, I had Jeremy on here a couple weeks ago, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, a couple months ago now. Yeah.
Man, that's my other dude. He's a good man. I was playing bass with him on a run, and we went down to Virginia Beach, and I remember people asking us where we were from, and there were other musicians like, oh, we've been trying to get to, it was called the V Club at the time. It's called the Loud now, but the main music venue in Huntington called the V Club, or the Loud now. It's always the V Club in my heart. R.I.P.
V Club.
Yeah.
When you
Loud
look it
Club.
up on Google, the Loud isn't on there. You got to search it by the V Club.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not quite transitioned all the way yet, but people.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. It's always gonna be the V Club to everyone who's from Huntington. But,
Old school.
The people want to come and play in Huntington, and the music scene. It's like I don't feel like I'm like an old head in the music scene yet. I'm in this weird like J. Cole middle child area
Right.
where like I've watched people older than me continue to do music and be successful, but I'm also seeing a huge resurgence of like new young artists, like crazy good artists, and like it's the music scene is like renowned, and people want to come play in Huntington.
Well, we got a couple Huntington bands that came here and played so far. I think one that I can remember was the Long Lost Somethings.
Yeah.
And they sounded really good. I don't know if Jim Polak, if that's
Yeah.
for me. I think he might be from Huntington
He's
too.
from Huntington, yeah.
He was here a couple weeks ago, and they sounded good too. And it seems like they've got some talented young people down there. They're really coming together and making some good music. So,
Making all kinds of good stuff, man.
so tell me about your music. Do you have a band? Is it just you yourself? Tell me about it.
So I'm Corduroy Brown, but Corduroy Brown is also a band. So sometimes you get me, sometimes you get the full, whole shebang, just depending on the venue or whatever, or
Right.
what the contract is. But I guess if you could describe our sound, it would be like, it's going to make you feel good. That's like the best. It's hard for me to put it in a box because like, I grew up on tapes of Michael Jackson. But then I cut my teeth learning Flyleaf on guitar when I first started playing guitar.
Flyleaf.
Then, like, dude, yeah. Shout out to 2002 or 4 or whatever that was. But then, like, I also grew up in church, so I play a lot of, like I know a lot of church music, too, like contemporary Christian stuff. So who knows what it's all, made up to be. But I think that's what makes it cool is that at the end of the day, it's going to make you think, it's going to make you feel good. Someone the other day told me it's like, someone said, your music makes me feel like everything's going to be okay. And I really like that because it doesn't have to be. I don't like to put it in a box, and we're all gonna eventually pass away one day. Not to be morbid, but like it's like why even focus on making some labeled cookie cutter thing? Like if the music's on your heart, just make the music that you want to make.
Right.
Like, and that goes for any kind of music.
Sticking to a formula of like what sounds good rather than just playing what feels good in your heart and what's essentially the real passion that you have inside. It's not just something that sounds good for the radio, right?
Exactly, and there's fun in that too. And if you can find a way to blend both of those to where you're making the music that you want to make and it does get accepted,
Right.
like, then you're really doing the right thing, I guess. But
Of course.
I mean, that's everyone's wish is that people listen to your music. So just make what you want because there's so many copies of people and things. Like there's so many replicas of people trying to sound like someone else, and eventually, like if you keep chasing that trend, like you always have to chase it.
Right.
And instead, if you just make your own thing, like you will always be you, and then eventually people want to chase you. Like,
Right.
and it's not the goal is to be mimicked, but like there's so much more peace in making your own art instead of saying, "Oh man, I wish I sounded like that." So much more peace in that.
And just be yourself. And I think maybe it's probably the easiest when it comes out that way too. What do you think about people that buy songs from I guess lyricists? Is it lyricists? Is it? Am I saying
Lyricists, yeah.
lyricists? Yeah. What do you think about that? Like maybe like somebody like Britney Spears would buy a song from some girl that writes lyrics in her bedroom and know, that you've never heard of. Like because these are real people out there and this
Sure.
actually happens.
Yeah, I mean, there's a path for everyone. I mean, like pop music especially or country or whatever.
Right. It could be anything.
Yeah, I mean, like I think that when you get signed to some record label, like you have to produce music that's going to sell. So you're like, you need to do that. But so there's no hate towards that. I mean, Michael Jackson didn't write Human Nature. Like Michael Jackson didn't write a lot of those big ass songs.
Yeah, I bet.
Like the guy from Toto wrote Human Nature. Did you know
Really?
that? Like,
No, I didn't know that.
I can't remember which one, but one of the guys from Toto wrote Human Nature. And if you go back and listen to it, you'll start to realize, oh shit, that does sound like Toto.
Yeah.
But so I think it's I don't know. But I couldn't imagine anyone else except for Michael Jackson singing that ever. So
Right.
it's all part of something. Like it's all good. Making art is good regardless. You know what I mean? Like I hope maybe one day I could sell one of my songs for millions of dollars. Who knows? But
Hey, right.
if not, I still love what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. And like you said, as long as you're doing something that comes out of the heart and that you're passionate about, then you're doing the right thing. I was talking with the doorman earlier about Dolly Parton. Did you know Dolly Parton wrote every single song? Apparently, this is what he was claiming. Bill, the doorman, that Dolly Parton wrote every song that she's ever sang.
Whoa.
Yeah, which
That's
is
surprising.
Yeah, it is very surprising. That's what I said. I might have to like fact check this.
I would
like,
love to know, because especially country is very ghostwritery. Like, but it's Dolly, so I mean, I kind of want to believe it.
It feels believable, certainly. But yeah, I kind of really want to look that up now and then follow up with that, because yeah, that's kind of wild. You just don't hear about that very often. Sure, with smaller singer and songwriters, but I would expect after you got to a certain point that you would pay somebody else that has already written something that's catchy and sounds good, and you put it from the paper onto the microphone and turn it into a hit.
Oh yeah.
So
Dolly can do anything though, so even if she didn't, I give her a pass. She's the queen.
Dolly is the queen. Have you ever been to Dollywood?
I never have. I've been to is it Dixie Stampede? Does she own that, or am I making that up?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Okay, I might be making that up. That was when I was really young though.
Dixie Stampede.
Yeah.
Is that like a Western themed?
It's like a very southern very southern thing where they like serve you biscuits and gravy and you watch a rodeo. It's kind of crazy.
Okay.
Down the beach. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if they still do it, but
that sounds kind of cool though.
Awesome.
I like biscuits and gravy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, man.
And the best I got as a kid was like Billy Bob's Wonderland.
Ooh, dude. Listen, my nephew Braylon, he grew up doing all that stuff. He actually, this is no joke. You can find him on my TikTok or Instagram or wherever. So my nephew Braylon like grew up with all the Billy Bob stuff, and he ended up programming. He worked there, and he learned how to program them. So he programmed my music to be played at Billy Bob's. I'm not shitting you.
Really?
Like, because he sent me a video of that. He's like, Uncle Alan, check this out. I was like, oh my gosh, what? He was like, yeah, I got your song in there. And it's like every animal is synced up perfectly to every part of the song.
That's awesome.
And, that in Barbersville, West Virginia, right down from Huntington, that was the last Billy Bob's.
Really?
That was the last. Now it's closed. There was like a bunch of, I don't know, there was all kinds of legal crap that went into that, but in Barbersville, West Virginia, right down the road from Huntington, right down the road from here, that was the last Rock-afire Explosion animatronic band.
Wow.
There's a cult following for that Rock-afire stuff. I had no idea. But Braylon, my nephew, he would host these like little events where people would fly in to watch what he did. I'm not kidding, dude. He's like 18 now, but like it blew my mind that there was that much of a following for that.
Right.
It freaking blew my mind.
Yeah, I would have never guessed.
Rock-afire Explosion's crazy.
And you'll have to get that video and like send it over to us, and we'll put it up on there. Yeah, maybe you get to send it over to me. We'll put it on here. I'll edit it in. Yeah.
All right.
Well, tell me about your band. How long you guys been playing together for?
Dude, well, Corduroy's been a thing since 2019, 2020, and Chris is my best friend, the bass player, Chris Barker. He's from Kentucky.
Is that the fellow that was in here a little bit ago?
No, that was Jacob, the drummer.
Okay.
He's from Lavalette, West Virginia, but we call him a water buffalo, which
Why's
was a
that?
nickname in high school. It just stuck because he's just a big old buffalo. I don't know.
Okay.
Chris is a Kentucky colonel, and he's literally a Kentucky colonel, and like whatever the title is there, it's like called the Kentucky colonel. But we've all been playing music in different things.
The Kentucky Colonel, would that be KFC? Colonel Sanders?
Yeah, but it's like the governor has to like sign. It's like an actual thing that people do in Kentucky. Like if you have certain honors or something by being a Kentucky Colonel, like it's like a weird thing. I don't know. I have to ask him about it, but we've all played music for a long time, man, and especially me and Chris has played together in so many different bands. And but Corduroy's, my baby. It's me, but it's also them, and it's also anyone who's in the room with us, So. But we try to write stuff that obviously like we were talking about that we like, but like me and Chris especially love the band Cage the Elephant, and Jacob loves like death metal. But so if you take somewhere in between all that, and then you take some good feel good some stuff, we don't do death metal, but it's just the weirdest amalgamation, if that's the right word, if that's even a word, of conglomeration, whatever the word is.
You're good.
We just like to try to make people feel good and think a little bit, man.
Okay. So I want to go on a stretch here and say that it's going to be like a mix of like Americana with some kind of like folky kind of rock in there too.
I would say that's safe. Yeah.
Maybe like a bit of country thrown in with it.
Country's it can.
That's a very broad term.
It can.
Yeah.
Maybe not tonight, but
maybe that's where the Americana comes in.
It has went there before. Depending on the venue, we might twang it up a little bit.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing you guys tonight. I've heard about you for a few years now. I used to be up at WTSQ not a few years ago, something like probably like 2019, and I remember them talking about you up there too. So. I expect good things to come out this evening. Man,
I'm really looking forward to it, man. It's gonna be awesome.
You got any original music?
Yeah, man. So we have an album out that came out in 2021. We've released a couple singles and an EP or so. since then. But the Let Me Know album recently won Appalachian Album of the Year.
Yeah.
At the Appy Awards in Paintsville, Kentucky, or Pikeville, Kentucky, which one of those P-villes, which was an incredible honor. And we had talked about it a little bit before, but that was the album that almost didn't come out. And around that time, 2021, COVID was still a thing. And so I had COVID in January of maybe late February of 2021, and it was like a small cold for me. Wasn't really a big deal. A couple weeks go by, I'm back to work. Nothing fine. Couple weeks go by, and I'm at work, and I'm realizing my lymph node is super swollen in my neck, and my kidneys are kind of hurting, and I'm like just not feeling good. I'm kind of nauseous, and then a couple more days go by, and I'm throwing up. I can't eat at all. My kidneys are on fire. Like my lymph node's huge. My legs are just feeling like they're getting squeezed to death. And I go to the hospital, and they just send me back. They're like, "You're just kind of anxious, man. Just calm down." And I'm like, "No, I don't feel right." And they're like, "Well, we don't know what it is. Just go." So I go back within 10 hours, and they finally admit me to the hospital, and they were like, "Okay, we don't really know what's going on, but your numbers are way all over the place." And I was like, "Okay." Then a couple of days go by, and they say, "Hey, Mr. We have to put you on a ventilator. You need to call your family." And I said, "For what?" And they're like, "Well, you have 4 organs that are failing right now." I said, "What?" And I was having trouble breathing anyway, but my lungs were so I was in lung failure, kidney failure, liver failure, and like kind of like acute heart failure, like not quite full on whatever, but all my organs were going, main ones especially, lungs, heart, kidneys. And they life flight me to Morgantown after they put me on a ventilator. And you know, like the white light thing that people talk about seeing when they're dying, that's extremely real. That's
Is it real?
Very real. And man, if we had I could preach a whole sermon about all that, but you know, I wake up in Morgantown several days later, and I have these big giant tubes attached to me, and I have all these IVs, lines in my neck, arms. I'm attached to everything, and there are people running in and out of this room like crazy, and just like you'd see in a movie. And they're like, "Hey, Mr. Brown, like, you're in Morgantown, if you can hear us, like," and I can't really talk to them, but I'm sort of cognizant of what's happening.
It's because you can't talk because you got like tubes down your throat and stuff, right?
Yeah, but I'm sort of conscious enough to understand what they're saying.
Right.
And I remember eventually opening my eyes at some point during that week, and I'm seeing these giant red tubes that are in my hips right here. And I was like, I kept pointing at them, and eventually I was like, "What are those?" And they're like, "Well, that's your blood." And I'm like, so long, make that story short, because we could talk forever about all that stuff, man. I was on a type of life support called ECMO, where they take the blood out of your body and reoxygenate it and then put it back in your body so your heart doesn't have to pump. And ECMO is the last ditch effort for people. You don't wake up from ECMO. You're not supposed to wake up from ECMO. It's actually used to keep your body alive so your family can say goodbye to you.
Really?
And I made it from that somehow, and I had 4 organs failing and all that stuff, and it was the most crazy thing, man. Like, you learn so much when you're faced with your immortality, and there's so much of that in the music too, and we could, I just don't know how much time there's so much time that could go into it, but there's a lot of articles, there's a lot of like publications that when we were releasing the album, because the album came out later that year that won the award. But man, I'm just so grateful. Every second of my life means something more now. When you're faced with your mortality, you learn to let go of those burdens, and you learn to forgive people, and you learn to just not get focused on the things that don't freaking matter, man.
Right.
So I try to relay that and make sure that people know that through our music too.
Man, that's really deep. I don't know what to say, honestly.
Yeah, and that's okay. It's so worth it to do what you want to do in life, and stop making excuses, because all you want in that situation is time. And you want to have spent more time with your family and your friends and did all the things that you said you were never going to do. So my whole thing to tell people is like, why are you waiting? Because like the time is going to go by regardless.
Right.
We're all like 3 years from now, we're both going to be 35. That we're going to be 35 regardless.
Right.
So why are we not running 1,000 miles per hour to do the things that we should want to do anyway? It's just, you got to just do it. Just go. Just live.
Right. I don't know, even as myself, there's plenty of things I think of that I'd like to do, but I'm like, oh, well, I'm comfortable where I'm at, or like, I'm too lazy to do it, or like 3, like, I'm kind of worried about it because you don't know what to expect of the outcome necessarily. So, just my human nature with stuff. But, hearing your testimony that, gives a little bit broader perspective on things.
Sure, man.
And I don't know. Now I'm just gabbing here, thinking about it shouldn't have to be that way. That you like meet somebody or hear somebody's story that like it really puts things. I guess it is. That's what's part of like like learning as a human and like bettering yourself is hearing these stories from other people where things have happened to them. And it can make you feel either like one like more fortunate for what you've got or. Two, like a piece of shit, I guess. Often I compare myself to other people, but then sometimes you see something like there's this guy on YouTube. His name's he goes by Soft White Underbelly.
Oh yeah.
And he did the interview with those crazy people past Beckley. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly. What you're talking about.
I'm trying to think of what their family's name is.
Yeah, the one guy he like barks.
He barks, right? Yeah, and they're all. Man, it's like I don't want to talk bad or anything. People can go watch the video themselves, but yeah, come on in here, Johnny. You're good. But you sing something like that, and it's like, wow, like I need to get my ass up off this couch and go do something because like I don't bark like a dog. I can have a very normal life. I don't have to worry about any of the things that like these people do necessarily. So it's I don't know. I guess it sounds like makes me sound like shit. Honestly,
nah, man, not at all. Like learning is part of it, man. It's really all part of it all. Where has it went? There it is.
It's underneath there. Yeah, it's all just perspective, building perspective on life and, glass half full instead of glass half empty, right?
Exactly, man.
Yeah,
the
man.
time's going to go by regardless, so use it. Like, I don't ever want to go through those regrets again because I went through so much regret at 30.
Yeah.
That's not old.
Mm-hmm.
So let alone, like, what if we're 85 and we still hadn't done all that
Living with a bunch of regret.
Yeah, that was the heaviest feeling in the hospital was, fuck, like, I might not make it. Because
Right.
there were still times where I would get better and then, everything was, like, again, nurses rushing into the room, all these alarms going off, and they're, like, not panicking, but like, oh, boy, this isn't good.
Right.
And so it's just worth it to live, man. It's worth it to do everything you said that you wanted to do because it's all going to be gone one day anyway. So just go.
Just live your life.
Just go. Yeah.
Quit worrying about what other people think. Or
It's not worth it.
Yeah, man. It's life's crazy and it's just crazy. Yeah, for
man.
sure. But it's glad to see that you've healed up and things are better. I mean, you're healthy now, right?
Yeah,
you look healthy.
Everything is all good. I put all my weight back on.
Good.
I got real skinny for a long time because I was not alive. So
Right.
I mean, everything as far as my body seems to be functioning fine, and it's so good to be able to play music as much as we are, and I don't take any of that for granted ever.
Right.
I mean, because immediately that could be gone again with anything.
Yeah, definitely.
So grateful to be playing tonight.
Just be grateful, right? So you guys got any shows coming up this summer you're real excited about?
Dude, yeah, man, it's been a really great year so far. I mean, we've spent time in all 3 states, West Virginia, Kentucky, and Ohio. We're obviously live at the shop tonight. We're at Fallsburg Summer Stage, which whenever you're listening to this, it was May 20th, which is technically tomorrow night when we're recording this. We're playing at Red Barn Radio on May 24th in Lexington. We'll be down in, I think it's Hardin, Kentucky, on the Kentucky Lake with Mike and the Moon Pies. Deanna Carter, the woman that sings Strawberry Wine, is going to be there. I'm like so ready to do that. Like I said, we're going to Wisconsin. There's some really cool stuff that, 2-3 hours to, 10 hours away from home is happening.
Right. That's cool. You're saying this is your first time at the shop. If you were to recommend this to somebody, what would you say?
Yeah, man. So the first thing, if I could give an elevator pitch to come play live on the shop in Dunbar, West Virginia, I would say, first of all, everyone here was incredibly kind when we first got here. And you don't always get that at places, believe it or not. But the attention to detail and the amount of great sound and video production that Live at the Shop gives is so is incredibly valuable because as an artist, your live show is what sells you to other venues and all that stuff. So, man, the attention to detail, people are so kind when we got here. The sound crew and the video crew, everyone here has been incredible. So if you're coming through anywhere close to West Virginia, you need a place to play, this is the place to come and play.
Yeah, man. This is definitely a spot to be at, and like I said earlier, not being biased whatsoever, you can definitely come check this place out. It's a very unique and special little gym here in Dunbar, of all places.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was looking at your Nikes. You big fan of Nikes? You collect them or anything?
So I don't collect them, but I just like high tops or mid or high tops or whatever when we play live. So, and these happen to be khaki colored sorta. So I wear khakis a lot on stage. I don't know why. So these are a nice little Christmas gift. So
I dig them.
Thanks,
yeah,
man.
I've got a khaki pair of Chuck Taylors that I wear with my khakis as well. But I'm rocking the blue jeans tonight.
Nice,
so.
yeah, man.
Yeah,
they feel good.
They look good.
Thanks, man. They only have like 2 shows on them.
Yeah.
Other Nikes are rough because they have like a year of shows on them.
Right.
So I try to stretch them out, but one thing like randomly health related again was that the life support tubes, when they put them in your body, they put them in your hips, and there's a lot of nerve traffic there through your legs. So they did a ton of nerve damage when they had to do this to save my life.
Yeah.
So my feet are pretty screwed up. I have bad neuropathy from that being alive still. So these help me feel like, secure. They hug my feet really well, and I can feel them really good. So that's kind of like why I like the narrow Nikes anyway. They just feel good to squish against my feet because I don't have a lot of feeling in my feet anymore. So but it's all good. They look good, feel good, they make me feel good. So
hey, as long as you're happy with them, that's all that counts, right?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
So aside from music, what else do you enjoy doing?
Man, I'm still trying to figure that part out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what makes me tick outside of this because I've done music for so long that like I can't imagine not doing it.
Right.
But, I work in video production, so I do a lot of editing and shooting video. I used to work in news, but outside of work, man, what do I do?
You got some hobbies or something, right?
Yeah, at any point, any kind of thing with, so actually I haven't played paintball in a long time. I used to play competitive paintball and travel all over the place to play paintball. I don't do that anymore, but I love to. I used to race like gas powered RC trucks as well.
That's cool.
I need to get back into that. If I could pick up a new hobby. Music is very like, you do a lot of music, so it's hard to balance a lot.
Right.
If I could get back into any hobby, it would be racing gas powered cars.
That's
like
cool.
RC cars.
Yeah. Yeah, my brother-in-law, he's got this RC like performance and hobby center in Milton that he owns. Yeah, and they've been killing it with business. It's absolutely wild. I didn't know there was like such a big, community sort of thing for that, and like locally too.
Yeah, man. Yeah. There's a dirt track in Lavallette, West Virginia, which is close to Huntington, right next to Huntington.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. When it comes to paintballing, did you ever freeze your paintballs?
No, because see, that's a common myth is that paintballs are like 90% water. So once they thaw out, it's they're not meant to be frozen and thawed out. They just turn into goopy mush.
That's what I was thinking, like just soft gelatin.
Yeah. So paintball like on a tournament level is like pretty serious. It's very expensive too, unfortunately. But no, I mean that's a common myth though. That's a common myth. It's like, freeze them. No, it makes them
right. Yeah, so we would do that as kids.
Yeah,
actually, and then play with them. Of course, like they'd get like super even more slimy and stuff, and just absolutely gross. And they stink to begin with. Like whatever they use, like the dye or something that's in it has like
there's some kind of oil
weird
in
smell.
them.
Yeah, some kind of weird smell. But I always remember that was a lot of fun growing up. And then we started shooting trees in the neighborhood, and they'd leave like the white marks on it. And after they would like kind of fade and go away, and neighbors were complaining, and there's our paintball guns got taken away eventually. But,
oh man, I miss the days when we traveled all over Central Ohio and play in like the speedball tournaments with the inflatable bunkers and stuff.
Yeah,
like 3 or 5 man teams. It just depended. But
that's cool.
I'd like to pick that back up or racing RC trucks again. But music is like, I work a full-time job too at the video place, so it's between that and music, and then living and breathing and sleeping and maintaining your relationship and all the rest of that. Man, I don't know. I haven't like. It's just I need to like have something I just do just for fun, not as like a business in a way. So,
right.
Because music, for us at this point, it's like still a business. So
of course,
you got to do it right and treat it like a business. So.
And you want it to sound right. You want to perform good and grow your audience base and. Hope that one day you can sell one of those songs for $1 million. And
we'll see, man. We'll see.
It's all part of the game, right?
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Do you feel like as an artist that there's maybe more competition now in like 2023 than there has been before in the past because of technology and being able to get your music out there, get your face and your name? Anybody can blow up on TikTok nowadays. So
yeah, that's true.
Do you feel that's more or less the same?
I don't want to see it as like a competition necessarily.
Of course,
I want everyone to win because there's enough people on the earth that like there's music for everyone at some point. Because I don't want to see it as like, oh man, I hope I get ahead of that person or whatever. Or likewise, I don't want to whatever. But like social media is a blessing and a curse. because it gives you access to all these things and platforms to put yourself out there, but then it's also such a giant distraction, and it's also so saturated, so like it's allowed people to like bypass record labels at this point because they can get following by themselves,
right?
But at the same time, it's like then everyone is on there too, so
of course
it's a blessing and a curse, man. I just want everyone to win a little bit. That's kind of what I want more than anything. Just do your thing. I want everyone to get a piece of the pie.
Yeah, that's all we want is a piece of the pie, right? It's like we could share it. Everybody, has enough room to get a little
everybody.
slice. Definitely. We're kind of rounding up things now here. I hear them out on stage. This first band, can you know anything about them?
Yeah, Miss Brenna Dugan. Is it Duggan or Dugan? I've called her Duggan, but it's actually Dugan.
She sounds great.
She's amazing, and she's one of the most humble, sweet people on the entire earth. And this is her first time with a full band. Actually, I've seen her acoustic. I've seen her doing some really cool, like dreamy, bedroomy, like very peaceful, like. Man, it's like perfect if you have a headache and just want to wind down. Like she makes that music that's just like gonna calm your nerves,
right?
Like so, it's cool to hear her with a full band, and I'm super proud of her. And she's one of the sweetest humans. She's got a killer band with her tonight. So, shout out to Brenna, man.
Yeah, they sound great, and I'm not sure. It doesn't look like. Are we doing this live? No, not live right now. That's unfortunate. And if we were live, I'd say come on down here to the shop right now, and you can check them out. But of course, we're not live. But the people that be watching this. Well, you'll see this sometime this week, so it doesn't matter. But, if you want to see great live music, we always have it every weekend here at the shop. You can always trust that we're going to pick a great band or, two bands that are going to be playing. You come out and enjoy. And it's not just like the same local people over and over again that you could see at any other, venue here in Charleston. So definitely, if you like live music, definitely check out the shop and support live local music.
Yeah.
Like Corduroy Brown.
Yeah, man. This is my girlfriend. They're playing one of my girlfriend's favorite songs right now. I didn't know that, so I might go slow dance with her out in front of the shop here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is a Daniel Caesar song, so I might have to cut this interview short, man. I gotta go dance with my girl.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and wrap this up real quick. Why don't you go ahead and tell the people where they can find your music at and where they can find you online.
Listen, so Corduroy Brown, corduroy is spelled very simply. It's not weird, but people spell it weird and can't find me for some reason. But if you break it up in 3 syllables, it's the best word. Corduroy. If you spell it Corduroy,
right
there, you will find me. Corduroy Brown. I'm easy to find. So big, bald, black guy with a beard. You will not miss me.
Spotify,
yeah, man,
iTunes,
Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, anywhere
all the normal places.
Anywhere you got it, it's there. Promise.
Okay, awesome. You got any upcoming shows here in Charleston or around West Virginia soon?
Off the top of my head, I think so. But if you look on Corduroy Brown, I promise I will be posting always. Promise.
Awesome. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you sitting down, and I don't want to hold you up from going and dancing with your woman.
Yeah, this is my girl's favorite song. I heard it, and I was like, ooh, so I got to go.
Yeah, you're good, man. Get out there.
I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah,
dude,
thank you very much.
Yes,
nice meeting you, too. All right. Well, there you go. You're welcome, buddy. All right, guys. Well, there you have it. Interview with Corduroy Brown. Man, he was a great guy. Really easy to talk to, and I can't wait to go out there and see them perform here in just a little bit. So, of course, if you like the show, you can always check this out online. You can find it on Facebook, YouTube, and on Rumble. Just search for the Grassroots 304 podcast. You can find me on Instagram at Mike Grassroots. And, of course, don't forget to go and check out the shop. You can find them on Facebook at Live the Shop WB, and also online at livetheshopwb.com, and also on YouTube. Most of all of the shows that we have here are generally recorded live and then posted to the YouTube channel. So yes, make sure to support live local music, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Peace out.